There we go. Now we're live. Thank you so much for joining me today, Tammy. It's so nice to be able to meet you face to face. I've heard so many wonderful things from people like Lori Lyons.
Nice. That's
Say that you're
awesome. I
a
love Lori.
geek in what you do.
What did you say?
Oop, hold on one sec. I've got an audio issue here. 1 second. Of course, I'm having. Hold on. Yeah, my mic just decided to stop working.
Oh no.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay now? Is it working? All right. I'm not sure what was going on there. I couldn't. Your mouth was moving, and I wasn't hearing a thing. As soon as I hit live, my thing glitched out.
Of course. That's how it always works.
Mercury retrograde or something. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. How's it going? Good morning. So, welcome, everyone. So, this is Tammy. Everybody, say hi to
Hi.
Tammy.
Hi everyone.
So, Tammy, tell me a little bit about you, because you and I, this is the first time we've actually had a chance to properly, have a chit chat. So, I'm learning
Yeah,
just as much as these guys all about you today.
cool. Well, I've heard about you a lot too. You entered my world about 6 months ago, I would say, when Lori told me to check you out. So that's our connection. So
I
it's
love
pretty
Lori.
cool.
She's amazing.
She is amazing. I love her too. So I'm a numerologist. I've been practicing numerology for 18 years. And then about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I became a coach. So I'm doing both. Like I'm doing numerology based coaching basically. And I do a lot of spiritual teaching as well. So I don't know. I mean, I I don't know. What else do you want me to say? I'm a mom. I have 3 grown daughters and I have a granddaughter and I have 2 grandsons on the way. So that's my exciting
It's
stuff.
almost unbelievable. You look so young.
I don't believe in aging. I decided that that's a choice because my grandmother never really aged. She never seemed to age. And so I decided that must be a choice. So I'm not doing that, you know? So I mean, obviously I'm aging a little bit, but I'm not really doing the whole full-fledged thing. I'm almost 50 and I'm not planning on looking that way anytime soon. So,
I absolutely agree that it's a choice. Age is just how you feel.
yeah. Yeah.
So I have people
Well,
ask me how old are you. I said my legal age is 38.
yeah,
It's like
right. Yeah. Well, my mom, she used to always say, "Well, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm not getting any younger and all these things." And I would say, "Mom, so my grandmother, she was in her 70s and she was still going down Blue Mountain. We're from Pennsylvania, actually. I'm from Pennsylvania. But she was still going tubing down Blue Mountain, and I was scared to do that. Like I was scared when they took the tube up the hill, and then you had to roll off of it, and you had to go down the hill in the family tube. I was scared to do that myself. And then I found out that my 70-year-old grandmother was doing it. And I was like, yeah, see, choice. It's a choice. You don't have to get old. You just don't have to. And so I said to my mom, I was like, did Nanny ever look old? Did she ever feel old even when she got old? And she's like, no, not a day in her life. And I was like, well, then I'm not doing that, you know? So it's a choice. So
it
yeah,
really is. Mind over matter.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
So how did you get into numerology?
So my mom studied numerology when I was a baby, and she practiced it my whole life. She never charged for it, and she was very uncomfortable with me charging for it for the longest time. She's okay with it now, but she never wanted to teach it to me. And I like grew up with her always doing it when people would come to the house and everything, and I was fascinated with it. And she taught my sister at one point, but then she kept telling me, oh, it's too much of a responsibility and I don't want to put that burden on you, you know? And I didn't really understand what she meant. I was like, whatever, mom, I don't care. And then when I was 30, I moved in with her for a year, and I just followed her around the house for a whole year going, well, what does the 1 mean? And what does the 2 mean? And what does the 3 mean? And that's how I learned. And then I started practicing right away. Like I got a job at a metaphysical store, just like a gig every Sunday, and I was giving readings, and then I was doing parties, and I don't know, it just kind of snowballed. I've been doing it forever now, So
Wow.
And my psychic abilities have opened up a lot because of it. So
Well, they say the universe is math,
yeah. So
Everything is math.
there's this thing that happens when you do numerology that I didn't know, that my mom didn't tell me. I would be in the middle of a reading, and I would start hearing myself talking, but I wasn't thinking the words I was saying. And I was like, what is happening? And I shut it right down because it scared me. And then I contacted my mom and I said, Mom, something's happening that's really weird. Like I'm saying words that I'm not thinking. And she said, oh, yeah, numerology opens you to be a channel. And I was like, what? Like, why didn't you tell me this? Apparently that happened to my sister and my mom too. And it opens you up to be a direct channel from your spirit guides. And then like when you sit with other people, you're a channel for their spirit guides to talk to them too. And so I didn't know that was going to happen. And that started happening like probably just a couple years in, and now I'm full-fledged having visions and all kinds of things, So
Wow,
but
that is astounding that it opens you up for channeling.
it
How
opens
interesting.
up.
I thought of
Yeah.
Tesla when you said that, and it made me wonder, maybe he knew something about that.
Well, so anyone that has a 7 in their birthday, like if you can see a 7 anywhere in your birthday, then you're a natural channel, and you can be opened up really easily because you already naturally use it. So like there's different numbers that apply to different parts of like psychic ability, kind of like every number has like good sides and bad sides. And so like the 1 is like your crown chakra, and that's your divine connection. So like that's your connection to source. And then the 2 is your connection to your heart. So that's like your why. That's your connection to your why. The 3 is the balance of everything. And then the 4 is your intuition. It's your gut instincts, So it's like everything that hits you in the gut, that's your 4. Your 5 is family, and it's also your sacral chakra. So it's like it's your womb chakra. So even as a male, that's the nurturing energy. So that connects you to people, but it really connects you to family and heritage and things. And then the 6 is your hand chakras, and that's actually channeled energy from your heart that you give to the world. So that's like artists and healers. And then the 7 is your, sorry, I'm like going like this. No, it's your throat chakra. And that is your direct channel through your guides, like to your spirit team. And then 8 is your connection to humanity. So it's your root chakra, and it's like the earth connection, So it's like your connection to all of the suffering and all of the sadness and all of the hard stuff. It's like your direct connection to humanity and the suffering and things like that. That's why 8's a really hard number. I talk about 8 a lot. And then 9 is the third eye chakra. So obviously that's your connection to your tunnel. So your connection to when your third eye opens, I didn't know this, but I learned this because it happened to me. But when your third eye opens, it actually opens a tunnel to the other side. So,
Wow.
yeah. So those are all the numbers, and the connections to the numbers, So
I'm starting to see why your mom said this would be quite a lot.
it's a lot. Yeah. What she was scared of is that she was scared that I would hurt people unintentionally, because when you connect to numbers, okay, so this might be a little bit of a long explanation, but when you connect to numbers, they all have a vibration. Like everything has a vibration, but numbers are actually our coding, like we are actually coded because I believe because we're in some kind of computer program, I believe that we're in
We are. Without a doubt, we are in a simulation. Yep.
Yes. And so the numbers of your birthday are actually your code. And so that code vibrates at a certain frequency depending on what numbers they are. So say your birthday is like December 1st of like 98 or something. So you're vibrating at like 2 ones and a 2 and a 9 and an 8. And so each one of those means something by themselves. And then they also mean something in combination. So like that whole vibration makes a story of who you are. And then it also is like a whole bunch of individual parts that make up who you are. And then they work together. I don't know, you start feeling the numbers. And I don't know, my mom was scared that I was going to, tell people things that they couldn't handle. And that's really that's the point that I did get to a couple of times, where I have had people that I watch spiral in front of me. There's certain people that are either emotionally unstable or physically unstable or some kind of mixture of the both. And I know how to recognize it now because I can feel the energy right away now. But there were times when I would tell people things that they couldn't handle to hear. And it wasn't that it was negative things. It was just they couldn't handle it. And now I know how to approach that. I would never do that again, But that's what she was scared of, is that I would hurt people unintentionally, And she would always say it's a very huge responsibility. And it is. I think it is too, So
any kind of mentorship is a responsibility, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
Wow. Well, I can't help but be curious now. What about 13? Because everybody always talks about 13 being an unlucky number, but it's always been my lucky number. I was born on the 13th.
So 13 is my favorite number.
Yes, me too.
It always has been. I will say it's a number that I avoid when I'm oh, we blacked out for a minute. Are we there? Are we here?
You're frozen, but I can still hear you, ironically. Can you still hear me? No, video's frozen. Oh, we're catching up. That's what I mean. Today has been a very glitchy, strange day. Now we go. There we go. Now we're unfrozen.
I think I lost.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. Is it working now?
Okay. I think the Wi-Fi went down for a second. Yeah, but you're back now.
Okay, cool.
You just started explaining how 13 was your favorite number, and then we lost you.
Yeah. So 13 is my favorite number. But I will say that it's a number that I avoid when I'm doing readings. I don't avoid it all the way. I ask qualifying questions when I see it. Because you can't just tell someone if they have a 13. Depending on how it shows up, it's a scary number. Like, it's a good number. Like, overall, everything is for your good. But a 13 is a rebirth. So anytime you have a 13 show up in your birthday, not necessarily born on the 13th, it would have to show up a different way, because that wouldn't show up as a 13, it's if you add it up and it ends up being a 13 somewhere in your chart, depending on where it shows up. It'll depend on what kind of rebirth you're going to have,
So like if you were born on 7/6?
Yeah. Okay. So if it was a 7/6, see, I don't know if I should say this publicly because I don't want to like scare anybody, but like, if it shows up, I'm going to do it delicately. So if it shows up in different parts of your chart, it can mean different things. It can mean a mental breakdown, a physical breakdown, a spiritual breakdown. It can mean a whole life turning around. Like, if you have a 13, that's your life path number. I don't technically I should say I don't technically practice numerology the way that other people do. So I don't reduce your numbers to one number or add them up to one number. I look at every single number in your chart, and then your numbers in combination mean different things. And then you also have a whole bunch of goal numbers. So like a 13 would always show up as a goal number for your lifetime, and it's always a rebirth. And if it shows up as your main goal for your lifetime, what that would signify, like when I've seen it, is like, you know, like I know a girl that she was married for like 23 years or something, raised her kids and everything, and then her husband left her and she ended up moving across the country and starting over, you know, and that's like a rebirth in this lifetime, you know. But then I know a girl who she had a car accident and had to learn how to walk again. That's a rebirth in the physical, you know. And the thing is, I ask qualifying questions to make sure the person has gone through it already, because then I know that they're on the other side of it. But if they haven't gone through it, I won't tell them that they have it, because it's not healthy. It's scary. Like, it's a scary thing because it's going to be a hard thing in your life. But the thing is, once you're through it, you actually get to the best part of your life because of it. Like if you have it in the spiritual, it's a spiritual awakening. My spiritual awakening was terrifying, you know? So I understand why people, you know, you wouldn't want to know that something is coming that could be scary, you know? But if it's already over and then I validate it, then that's different, you know? So 13 is the best number, and it's also a scary number. But I can see why it turned into what it did, because it signifies something kind of scary, you know. It signifies an end and a beginning for a lifetime, you know. So
Brandy making a crack about it being the tower card of of numerology is kind of accurate then.
it is very accurate. Yeah, very accurate.
Love that.
Well, but I
Wow.
also know, like, I met a girl who is like the best medium I've ever met. She had a 13 as her main goal for her lifetime. And I said to her, I was like, well, when did you become a medium? She's like, I became a medium about 3 months ago. It just happened overnight. Like she went her whole life one way, and then her entire life just shifted and she became a medium like overnight. And she was the best medium I have ever met, like ever by far, you know. And I've met a lot of mediums doing my work, you know. So
I'm kind of hoping that's how it's going to go with me, that I'm just one of those late mediums. I'm working my way up to it.
well, let me tell you that the more you open up spiritually, the more stuff opens. So, like, everyone has been telling me for the last 3 or 4 years that I'm a medium. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want to be that. But then I was sitting doing a reading about a month ago in my Facebook group. I do free readings every Friday, like little mini readings every Friday. And I had a guy come through, and he was just standing here right next to me, trying to talk to me, trying to tell his ex-wife a message for his son. And I went, hey, I don't do this. Like, I'm not doing this. Sorry. No, I'm not doing this. I actually like just shut it down. And I wrote to the girl and I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I don't do that kind of work. And then I talked to my spirit guides and I said, listen, I'm not cool with this yet. You know, like, we're not doing this yet because I'm not ready for it, you know. But yeah, you open up more and more as you do this work. And it's like, as soon as you open yourself up as a channel, it just flows, and it starts flowing more and more as you go. So it'll open. Wonderful. If you want it to, you know. It will.
Wow. So, do you mind me asking? You said what life path are you? What's your life path number?
So, okay, so technically there's no one single number, but the main goal for my lifetime is a 21. The 21 is the soulmate number. And the soulmate number means that I'm here to collect all of my soulmates and to help them awaken to their purpose, and then guide them, because I'm a teacher, I'm a guide, and I'm a leader. So like all my numbers, and I also have a humanity number. So it's like all my numbers lead to me showing people the way, like awakening them and then showing them the way. And so we're all, you're probably in my soul tribe. Like we're all in one big soul tribe mostly. And the people that cross my path are usually other people in my soul tribe. And there's a reason for that. It's because we are all on our last or second last lives. We're all finishing up because we're moving soon to another plane of existence. Like, I don't know what that is next,
Finally.
but what did you say?
Said finally.
Yes. Yes, we've been here hundreds of years actually. And I was writing a book a few years ago that was channeled, and the messages that I was getting were that our soul tribe specifically was created to raise the awareness on the earth, to raise the vibration, because like this whole great awakening that everybody keeps talking about that we're in, that even like people who aren't spiritual can't deny at this point that we're in something going on spiritually. So what I was told through channeling when I was writing this book is our entire soul tribe was created because God or source or whatever you want to call the higher power has tried many times to raise the veil, to lift the veil, because we were never meant to be veiled to begin with. We were only veiled because he gave us free will and then we didn't use it right, you know? So we got veiled. And then after that, it was like the veil kept trying to be, he kept trying to raise the veil, not he, but they, you know, it's not really, there's not really one God in my opinion. There's actually, it's actually a vibration, but whatever. So like there were many times throughout history that the veil was attempted to be lifted, and we ended up killing each other whenever we found out how powerful we are. And so I was told that that's what Atlantis and Lemurian were about, and that's what the like Jesus times was about. And there were like all these times in history that they talked about that they said it was attempted before, but it wasn't attempted on a grand scale before this. So right now it's being attempted, it's been being attempted by our soul tribe. Like we were created for this, to spread out all over the earth and to raise the vibration slowly over the last 100 lifetimes or something. And now we're finally at the point where it's happening and it's going to be attempted again. And everyone's hoping we don't kill each other, you know, when we find out how powerful we are, you know? So
That resonates.
so that's my understanding of it, you know. Take that for whatever parts you believe in it, you know, but those are, that's what I've been told is going on. And so my whole thing is that my purpose here is to bring you back to your plan. So like you make a plan before you come here, and then you record that plan into your birthday, and then you're veiled, so you don't remember that plan. So we all walk around blindly not knowing what we're here to do. And so what I do is I sit with you and I say, listen, this is why you're here. These are your gifts. These are your obstacles. Let me help you to come back to the powerful being that you are, because you are supposed to step into your greatness. You are supposed to accomplish things. You are not supposed to go to work every day and live in the same town and see the same four walls all of your life. God didn't create the earth for that. Like, we don't have this beautiful earth so that none of us see it. That's not a thing. That doesn't make sense, you know? So that's my
I feel
purpose.
are stuck because this is the way the system is. They trick people into thinking that traveling is big and expensive and scary, and people are also broke because they're having to work their butts off all the time just to make ends meet. So it's all by design that most people
All by
don't travel.
design. Yes.
Yeah.
There's actually this book. It's called The Abundance Book. Did you ever read that book by
No,
John Randolph Price, I think is his name?
no, I've never read that book.
I highly recommend that book, and I'll send you a link to it later. So it's a really short read, but in the first chapter, he starts talking about, so there was and I'm never gonna paraphrase, right? I feel things, I don't remember word for word. Okay. But so my interpretation is that he says a long, long time ago in some ancient civilization, I don't know which one, there was this family that was in charge, and he names the family, he names the guy specifically even. So this guy becomes in charge, and he realizes that everyone knows that, you know, everything comes from the inside out, not the outside in. Like everyone understands that they are capable of taking care of themselves and taking care of others, and everything comes from their heart and their intuition, and they understand their guidance system is their intuition. And then he realizes that he could have slaves, like he could have more power and more money and more ruling over the people if he trains us to forget that. And so this guy who wrote this book, I don't even know if it's true. I know that's what the book says, you know, but like he pinpoints it to one man who decided this. And then it took a few generations to, you know, beat it out of us, basically, to retrain us that we don't work from the inside out, we work from the outside in, and to rely on others. And that is when we entered the dark ages. And I always thought, because I don't know a lot about history, I always thought the dark ages were like a time of gloom and doom. I don't know, like I never knew what it was about. The dark ages actually were about us being separate from each other. It was about loneliness, and it was about separation. It was about us not trusting ourselves and not trusting others. That's really what the dark ages were about, at least according to this book. And when I read that, I cried because I couldn't believe that it was such a planned thing to teach us that. And it makes me so sad, period. It makes me sad.
It's like shadow work on a large scale.
Yeah, it's awful. But one of my missions that I work on all the time is I try to tell people you have an entire guidance system that you were born with. It was baked into you. Like you have a map. You don't have to reach outside of you for anything. You just have to put your hands on your heart and close your eyes and ask questions. Your body will tell you the answers. You don't even have to learn how to talk to angels and the other side and go to psychics, and you don't have to do any of that. You have that right inside of you, you know? And it really is just a matter of getting in touch with it. And it makes me so angry that we've been taught that that's weird or wrong, you know? So, I mean, I
They
meet
don't want
people.
us doing that. They don't. Internal work makes us, stronger and healthier and
Yes.
smarter. So those are all things they don't want.
Yes. I meet people every day that don't even know how to ask their bodies what their body likes when it comes to food. Like people ask me literally every day, they're like, well, I don't know what to eat. I don't know what my body likes. I'm like, ask it. Just ask it. Just literally put your hands on your heart for 3 seconds, close your eyes and say, do you like this, what I'm eating? Do you want more? Do you not want more? Keep practicing that until your body responds and you notice, because your body will start telling you what it likes and what it doesn't like. And it is such an easy practice because it is our natural operation. And people don't know that because we've been taught that
I
that's
already
evil.
know. That's amazing. A lot of us are not in tune with our bodies. We don't even try to communicate with our body. We don't even think of it as something that is, it's actually technically separate and also us at the same time.
Yeah.
It's our vessel. You got to
You
take good
know,
care of the car we're driving.
do you know why we operate the way we do like that is because we're always told the doctor knows about your body, not you. The teacher knows about what you're supposed to do in your life, not you. Your mom knows what you should eat, not you, you know? So like you're always taught that someone outside of you has more power than you do. And the truth is, you are the only one that knows what your body needs. You are the only one on the planet that actually knows that. And because you're taught not to know that, there's nobody on the planet that knows that. And that's why there's so much illness, you know?
It doesn't take me 3 seconds to know what my body needs. It needs potatoes.
Yeah. Oh, me too. My body loves pasta and potatoes. So,
There's a big
yeah.
potato right here.
Yeah. Me too. I am the same way. I could eat potatoes all day. But yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So I want to ask, a lot of people are asking about the number one.
Okay. What
One
is
is the longest number that that you ever know, as they
one is
say.
actually an amazing number. Um, so is there a specific question or do you want me to just tell you about the number one?
Just tell us about one, because yeah, there's a lot of people that have it as a life path number. They have it as their main number for their birthday, and there's their all
They
kinds of
see it
stuff. So
as
and
their
plus we see
healing
111
number.
like constantly.
Yeah. Okay. So if you have a one in your birthday, so if you look at your birthday, look at it as 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 2-digit year. Do not count the 19 or the 20 in the year because I don't count those. Okay. Because I don't know why. I wasn't taught to count those. So like if you look at your birthday in a 6-digit number and you see a one, then this applies to you. Okay. If you have a one, you are very determined. Well, first of all, it's your crown chakra. It is your direct connection to God or source or universe or whatever you believe in, okay? Or the angels, like the higher power stuff, you know. Um, it is you are very determined to be yourself and an individual. You won't be told what to do or how to do it. You're very motivated. You're very directional. The one is like an arrow in front of you. It's a directional number. So the one is always keeping you on your path. I was describing it to somebody yesterday during a reading, and I said, so you know what that one does for you? And she said, what? And I said, so my car has this safety feature where if I'm driving down the highway and I get out of the lines at all, it moves me back on like by itself. Like it actually
Hmm.
takes over the wheel and moves it back, and it freaks me out every time it does it
I
because
had a
it's
rental car that did that, and it freaked me
yeah,
out so bad.
yeah.
I did not know they did that.
Yeah, I've had the car for years, and it still every time it does it, I feel like somebody took over the car and is driving it. You know,
Jesus took the wheel, you know.
yeah, that's what it feels like. So that's what your one is in your life. Your one is this direction. So like the one keeps you on your path, and every time you get off your path at all, the one moves you back. It just keeps moving you back. So someone with a one never actually loses sight of their path, even though they don't really know it, because most people don't know their path. There's only one number that has connection to their path, and that's a 5, unless you're psychic, you know. But 5's the only one that can see their map of their life. You know, they're the only
Is
ones
that
that
like
come
a
with
life
it.
path 5, you mean, or just in general for like their
Just
name?
a 5, if you see it in your chart at all. If you have a
Interesting.
5, it means you're a parent or a teacher. It also means that you are somebody who has access to your plan, like the birth plan that I'm talking about. You're somebody who came here with access to it, so you know more about your life than most people do. So like someone with a 5 has this knowing. So like I have a 5, okay? I've
I have a
always
5.
known, yeah, I've always known that I was going to be a parent. I always knew I was going to be a single mom, and I always knew I was going to have a girl. I didn't know I was going to have 3 girls. I didn't know that. Okay. But I did know that from very small. I also always saw myself on a stage. I always knew I'd be a motivational speaker, but I never knew how I'd get there. And I'm not there yet, but I know that I'm headed there now. But all my life I was like, I can't see that. I don't know how that could happen because I'm terrified of it. I don't want to do that. But I've always seen it. Like I've had this like glimpse of what I'm going to do. That's because my map is there. It's like right in front of me, and if I just blur my eyes, I feel like I can actually see it. If you meditate and you have a 5, you can actually see it clearly. I've never been great at meditation, like not the traditional kind, you know.
Same.
So but But since you have a 5, it means that you're a parent or a teacher. You're very obviously an active teacher, by the work that you're doing, and I'm an active teacher, the one thing that you can really tell about somebody that is a teacher is that they're very patient when they explain things. It's like for the most part, depending on your other numbers, but for the most part, someone with a 5 is really good at simplifying things, and they're really good at sitting with someone that doesn't get it and helping them to get it, and like forming things into a way that people can understand, like that's what a 5 does. That's what they're really good at,
Well, thank you. I have a 5 life path, and I got 2 5s in my birthday, and that totally resonates. That's what a lot of people thank me for, is my ability to make things simpler. So
So
cool.
your 2 5s say that you're on your last life. So.
Oh, that's even better news.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So anyway, so back to the ones. So the ones also, if you're seeing, like if you're seeing repeating numbers, if you're seeing what people call angel numbers, okay, if you're seeing 111 or 1111 or any series of ones at all, ones are the only number that can't be interpreted differently. Ones always mean that your guides are trying to tell you everything is going as planned, everything is okay, don't worry, there's nothing to worry about. I notice that I see 1111 a lot whenever I'm really stressed out. And I always take it as my guides saying, chill out, everything's fine, like everything's the way it should be. Yes. So like whenever.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's perfect.
So all the other numbers can be interpreted when it comes to repeating numbers, so I do teach about that because I really like to teach people how to interpret the messages that they get from their guides, because like our guides do not communicate the way that we communicate. So it is a language you have to learn. But once you learn it, it's very simple. When you learn how to communicate with them, it's super simple to communicate with them. They always send numbers or symbols or birds or whatever, but you can actually ask them for signs and they will send them to you, and then when you get used to the way that they communicate with you, then you can establish a relationship that actually is a working relationship with them, so
Awesome.
yeah.
So, what about twos? Some people want to know about twos. Do you see a lot of 222? Is that, I've heard something about it being the number of balance.
So 3 is the number of balance in the type of numerology that I practice. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I do not. I should have said this in the beginning, but I do not practice the type of numerology that other people practice. I know I said that a little bit, but mine is actually very different, and I don't know where it comes from. I don't have a book to point to. I only have the knowledge that my mom had and whatever I download from my guides. So most of the knowledge that I have is from practice, and I don't have anything I can point to. This is what I have as far as a book for numerology is my own notes. So this is my book of numerology, and that's it.
Wow.
That's all that I have. So everything else is what I have learned myself, Anyway, when it comes to twos, okay. So, well, I can go down all the numbers, but I'll tell you about the 2 first. So the 2 is the heart chakra. The 2 is very significant right now because it's the time that we're in. Okay. So we are in the age of Aquarius. We are in the golden age. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Not everyone believes that, but that's what the 2 signifies, is the golden age or the age of Aquarius. It's the time of alchemy. It's the time when thoughts become things. And it's the time when you get in touch with what's real, with what matters. Okay. Okay, so I'm trying to decide if I should talk about the 2000, if I should talk about 2020, or if I should talk about just the 2. I'm going to tell you just about the 2, and then I'm going to tell you about 2020 and what that was about. Okay. So the 2 is your heart. It's your why. It's your reason, your actual reason for life. Your heart is your emotions though too. So anyone that has a 2 struggles with their emotions. They struggle with relationships. They struggle with their voice. They struggle with saying the things that they need to say to the people they need to say them to. They struggle with understanding themselves and understanding others. They struggle with trust. They have trouble trusting because they've been hurt before, and they have trouble trusting not only other people but themselves. The 2 is the number of self-doubt. So anyone that has a 2 has a lot of self-doubt. And, sometimes I have trouble with 2s. They're really the only number that I have trouble with when I'm doing readings. I'm a lot better with them now because I understand them a lot better now. But for a long time, because I don't have a 2, I had a hard time relating to a 2 because sometimes 2s are not aware of who they are. They're a little bit disconnected and they're not able to verbalize very well. So like somebody, depending on your other numbers, like every number depends on your other numbers because every number will affect it. A lot of times you'll have a 2 and a 7. That is a direct conflict. Okay. So the 2 says, I don't know how to use my voice. The 7 is your throat chakra. It's all about using your voice. So you have a conflict on purpose. And the reason why you have that conflict is to teach you how to use your voice by not being able to use your voice, so that's what it is, and that's how most of our obstacles work in our life. But so the two is very hard because this is the analogy I use all the time. Okay. So my brother is an incredible artist. He can draw things right out of his head. Like anything that he thinks he can actually put on paper. It actually looks better probably. If you describe to him something you want him to draw, he will draw it better than you can imagine it. My head can't do that. Okay. So like in my head, I have this picture and I can draw a picture that looks good, but it'll never look like the one in my head, not even close. And I can try all I want and it will never come out that way. Someone with a 2 has that exact struggle with their voice. They have all these emotions and they have all these big feelings and they love people so much because they're so heart driven, but they don't know how to express that because whatever comes out in their words doesn't sound like what's in their heart and in their heads. So they're very frustrated and confused and angry. Like they get very angry. 2s are people who bottle things and then explode, they're people who sometimes they stop talking. Like I've met 2s that won't talk because they don't know how to express themselves properly. And the bigger that their emotions are for somebody, the closer they are to somebody, the harder they express. So it's really sad that happens. But then at the same time, the most successful people I've ever met have 2s. Like my business coach, who is just holy crap kicking ass in the world, she has a whole bunch of 2s. And I'm like, how do you function? Because she has all these 2s. She should be an emotional wreck. And that's what I said to her when I did her reading the first time. I was like, how do you function? How did you figure that out? And she said, I understood that I didn't understand. And she overcame it. And when she overcame it, which is the whole point of it being there, she turned it around to the good part of it. And so this is what I tell people. So when you're in the positive part of the 2, you are filling yourself up with love. Your whole body is filling with love, and you are pushing that love out of you to the world and giving it to everyone. And that does not take anything away from you to do that. That expands you and the world. Okay. When you are in the negative part of your 2, you are closing in on yourself. You are putting walls up, you're closing down, you're shrinking, and you're not giving love to anyone, and you're not giving love to yourself, and you're not taking love from anywhere. So it's all about love. It's all about emotions, and it's all about your why,
I gotta say, my first husband, that sounded exactly like everything you were describing. His birthday is February 22nd.
Oh, yeah.
So two.
Though, he could be the most successful person in the world with all those 2s as well, because the 3 2s together make a 6, and it's like a silent 6 that you wouldn't see in the chart. You wouldn't see it right away. But that 6 makes him want to make the world a better place for him having been here. So he has an extreme desire to make the world better, and he's doing it in a physical way with the right intentions, with the heart intentions. So
I love
he
that.
could
So even though you have twos, you can turn it around into something more positive.
yeah,
Love
absolutely.
that.
Or you could become the most angry person in the world, because I've met both, you know.
He
So
was the most angry person I'd ever met up to that point. So
yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah, but if he
yeah, that
turns it
resonates. Wow.
around, he could become the most beautiful person you've ever seen, and that's probably what you saw in him. You probably saw his truth, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so let me tell you about the 2020s, like what we're going through.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Please do.
so I started doing predictions. I used to do them just for my friends for years, and then I got out of my own way and stopped being scared about telling people things. So now I do predictions every year. So 2020, so 2 is your heart chakra. So 2020 is all about getting back in touch with your heart. It's a new beginning, because anytime there's a 0, it's an ending and a beginning. So it's a new beginning focused from your heart, okay? Because it's the heart first, and then it's a new beginning second. So it's like, I'm going to start with my heart and I'm going to go toward the future, okay? Toward something new. So it's a new beginning that started from the heart. So 2020 should have burned your house down, basically. Like it should have burned down anything material in your life, and it was supposed to put you back into what mattered. So it was like anything that you relied on for stability outside of you was going to disappear and dissipate and be unstable. So like everyone lost their jobs, a lot of people lost their homes and their cars and their stability. A lot of people lost their family, and their friends and people that they loved.
Yeah.
What 2020 did, so I lost the love of my life in 2020. My twin flame died in 2020. We weren't together, but it was the week that the world shut down. The world shut down literally the day of his funeral. We were driving back from Pennsylvania to Texas, and I found out I didn't have a job. So like the world literally shut down the week that he died, which was very fitting, honestly. But for me anyway, Anyway, so 2020 brought us back to our why. It brought us back to who we are and what really matters, because our jobs and our houses and our cars and our money and all those things, those are not what really matters. What matters is our family and the love that we have and things like that. So 2020 should have dropped you to your knees. 2021 was now the direction from that, because I told you the 1 is direction. Okay. So this is now
Right.
the direction from your heart. So 2021 should have been a glimpse into what could be. Nothing would still change, but it was like a little glimmer of hope. It was like things can get better, 2022 should have dropped you to your knees again, because 2022 was anyone who didn't fall in 2020 was going to fall hard in 2022. And
That was me.
yeah, and it should have dropped you hard on your, basically, like it should have made you pray. Like it should have made you feel like the world is ending, and there's no hope. Yeah.
It was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, but the reason why is because anything you didn't learn in 2020, 2022 was the second round, and it was harder, for a lot of people. If you learned a lot in 2020, 2022 wasn't as hard, so it kind of just depended. 2023. So the 3 is all about balance. So the 2 is from your heart. So I always want you to keep that in mind. So it's coming from your heart. So this is the balance of your heart. So 2023 should start building the ground under our feet again. And I've been telling everyone this whole year since it started and last year that this year, by the end of it, you should feel stable again. You should have certainty return. You should feel like life can go on. It may not go on the same, but it can go on, and you can breathe and you can rely on something again. You can, like, the ground comes back under your feet. And then 2024 is all about, so 4 is all about the directions. It's all about opportunities and decisions and choices, you know. So 2024, I think travel will open up again, you know, because travel really never came back, you know, like, I mean, it kind of got worse rather than better. And I
Oh
actually
yeah.
stopped traveling altogether this year. I travel really cheap because I'm on a friend's buddy pass. So I travel anywhere I want really cheap. But it's so bad right now with all the flight patterns that I actually took a year off of travel because no, thank you. You know, like I've been not traveling at all barely this year. So, but next year that should open up again. So like 2024 should be the year of opportunities. It's where you see more choices, you see more directions that you can go in, you know. And then 2025 should be about family. So,
Okay. About 20. We've heard quite a few things about 2025, a few different omens about it. I'm just curious.
yeah,
They say that there's even going to be an uprising in 2025, soul guides are saying. So,
might make sense.
really, it would.
Yeah, yeah. So whenever you're thinking about numbers, always think about the past. So like if you look at the 1900s and you look at, you know, 1920, we had a pandemic as well, you know, and we went through a lot of these things. If you look at like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. So like if you look at the 50s, all you think about is family, right? Like you think about family because that's all that it was about. When you think of the 40s, you think of like the depression and you think, well, you think of like the wars and things like that's what I think of anyway.
Yeah.
Um, I think of all the tragic stuff in all the directions, you know. Um, you know, so if you think about the different years, you can see what the pattern is, you know, that we're going into, even if it's just 2025, not necessarily 2050, it's still going to have that five. That five brings us back home. So, like, the five is family, and it's all about stability and being able to rely on things. It's about like wholesomeness. It's about like, it's when our government, when everyone trusted the government and when people thought like the 50s were about like, I just think of like Leave It to Beaver type feeling, you know, like
Yeah.
I know that my parents, my mom and my dad both come from a family of 7 children each, you know, and they all lived in one house with one income. You know, like my mom's side was more wealthy, but my dad's side was more blue collar. My grandfather on my dad's side supported 9 people with one job, and he just worked 40 hours a week, and it was no big deal. Like he had a great life. They went on vacations, they did everything, you know. So that's, if you're gonna, you know, if someone's gonna say there could be an uprising at that time, it would make sense to me because first of all, you're fueled by your heart. So you're going into 2025 with a heart focus and you're saying things need to change for the better to meet my why. My why is what really matters. And my also my why is my family and my friends and the people I care about. It's about people, you know, and things like that. So if there's a whole lot of injustice like there is now, if there's a whole lot of inflation, there's a whole lot of lack of living and breathing and functioning, a lot of people are going to be really mad in 2025. They're going to be very angry. I mean, they're angry now, but if it keeps going on this
Anger is
way,
motivational. You know,
yes,
we need it.
it is. Yeah. So
Wow.
I could see that. I mean, I don't have any premonitions about it, but I could see that, you know.
And what you were saying about the 50s and the 40s, it resonates a lot. And you do see patterns in history repeating itself. And that does make a lot of sense. I mean, we had the baby booms in the 50s, you
Yeah,
know, it's like,
yeah,
yeah, that's
it's all about
definitely
family.
family time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then the 60s are all about art and healing and music, you know. And the 70s are about wisdom and so like you think of the 70s as like the hippie times, but really that's not really what they were about if you look at the numbers. Like the 60s were more about the hippie times. The 70s were more about how we wanted the future to be. It was a whole bunch of people with a lot of wisdom saying, this is the future we want to create, and that's really what the 70s were about. And then the 80s, sex, drugs, rock and roll, that's obvious.
Yeah.
And 90s were about the vision for what was coming next. So 9 is always about vision and passion. So, yeah.
Wow. I can kind of see how we're having another, it's like the Prohibition era and the the whole. I mean, it's all like recycling again.
Yeah, 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 and that's
Wow.
all we're in. We're in a giant loop. I mean, we're just in a pattern. I mean, there's only 10 numbers. There's really only 9 numbers. Like there's a 0, but I mean, like the 0 is just always an ending and a beginning. So there's really only 9 numbers, and we're just in a loop of 9. That's all we do. It's just like throughout time, we just go through the numbers. Like, and when we go through the different decades, it's like, every different decade starts with its idea. So like we're in the 2020s, the idea is the heart. When we're in the 30s, it's going to be the balance, and the 40s are going to be the opportunities, and the 50s are going to be the family, so it's just like you start with that focus, and then you add the next number, and that's the direction it's going to go in, so I feel like
we have another. We have to wait until the next 60s again. I want to be too old for the fun then.
Yeah, you won't, because aging is a choice. You don't have to do it. So,
That's very true. Who knows? We might even have those healing pods by then.
yes,
Very
yes. Well,
cool.
maybe
Wow.
we'll learn how to get in touch with our intuition, and we'll heal ourselves. I
Wow.
mean, it can happen. So,
That's amazing. That makes so much
yeah.
sense. It really does. And now I've been wondering, because I'm a big history buff and I like to study history
Yeah.
for the fact that it repeats itself, but I didn't realize that it's all based on numbers too. And that's just astounding.
Everything's based on numbers. So like just a few weeks ago, I went downstairs to the kitchen to make some food because I'm always up in my office working like forever. And my daughter was down there and she was doing something, and I said, "Guess what?" And she goes, "What?" And I said, "Did you know?" And she goes, "Oh boy, mom." I said, "Do you believe that we're in a simulation?" And she said, "Yes, I believe that." And I said, "Okay, if we're in a simulation, then we're a computer program, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, so if you're a computer program, I know your code." And she goes, "What?" And I was like, "Your code is your birthday. I never put that together." So, but I just realized
Wow.
it. I was like, "Holy
And even your
crap."
birth time gets factored in, I imagine, too, because it
Yeah.
does with the zodiac. So I imagine with
Yeah.
numerology, it would also.
So
Wow.
we don't do birth time because I asked my mom this a few years ago. I said, "Why don't we do birth time?" And she said that it's not always recorded right. Like your birthday is pretty accurate. Like most people, their birthday is their birthday. But your birth time can actually be a minute or two off. And she said she found so many times that it wasn't right that she just stopped doing it. And that's why we don't do that.
Wow.
So
So just 1 minute or two can be off and make a difference,
oh,
huh?
changes everything. Yes. Yeah. So
Wow.
if you want me to, I can like do your numbers for a little bit and tell you some things. Like, do you want to? Sorry, I
You
have
like a
cats.
mini
A
reading?
lot of cats. Yeah, I can
Are
do
you
a reading.
kidding? I would love that.
Of course. This is what
That
I
would be
do. This is
awesome.
what I love to do. So okay.
Yay.
So so tell me your birthday, and then I'll tell you a bunch of things.
Okay. It's 5/13/85.
Okay. I already knew some of your numbers just by like you talking. I'm like, I kept wanting to say, I bet you have an 8, but I didn't say it because I was like, no, I might not be right. But
Yep, I'm an 80s baby.
yeah. Let me just I have a cat that keeps jumping on me. So I have
We
4
love
little
cats. Hello,
kittens.
kitty. It's a black kitty. Hello.
This is Little
What's your
Moon.
cat's name?
His
Little
name is
Moon. Oh, beautiful.
yeah, he's a
Love
boy.
it.
So he's my daughter's cat. So I'm just drawing your chart, and then I'm going to tell you about it. 5, 1, 3.
Everybody's asking how they can get their own readings. Somebody
Okay.
tag Tammy for me, will you? I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I can. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me
Just
see if I
either
can
go to my
tag you.
Facebook group or go to my website. My website is just my name.com, TamiLoPresti.com. So it's
There
super
you
easy.
go. Yep.
Oh, okay. So I can see why you're fascinated with some things. So, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Okay. So you are an Aquarian age child. Okay. You are literally here just for this time. So people had to fight to get a spot in this time right now. Like, actually, it was, sorry, this cat keeps jumping on me. Um, so someone told me this about a year ago. It was a medium, and I didn't know she was a medium, but I was giving her a reading, and partway through the reading, she said, "I have messages coming through from your ex. Can I tell you?" And I said, "Yes." And so she started, and that happens to me a lot, you know. My ex tries to come through any way that he can to talk to me, so he comes through a lot. And we have a lot of communication, actually. But she was telling me, because I told her about this number, she said, I can see it. Before this lifetime, people stood in lines trying to get a body, and there weren't so many bodies. People were fighting for them to get a spot to be here right now, because we are in the time of the veil being lifted. And this is a very significant time in the existence of the world, so you are here specifically for that. You're here to witness.
Dolores said we all have a golden ticket. That's what
Yes,
she
you
said. You
do.
had to have the golden ticket to be here right now. So that
That
validates what Dolores said.
that's actually true, and I've heard that from multiple people now, and I've actually had it confirmed by my guides. But what, like, I asked, and I've had it confirmed. So we all fought for our spot. It's very special to be alive right now. I can't say if it's going to be good or bad when it does happen, because I don't know that. I don't know if any of us actually know that. But what I can say is that it's significant. And because we have the awareness, we all have the awareness that this is just one little blip in the eternity of everything. We know that this is actually made up. We're in just a play, basically. I'm playing Tammy, you're playing Laura. We know that on a soul level. So we do sign up for missions that, might be harder than others, and that is basically what you did. You signed up for something. You signed up for a very hard life. Like, I know you probably know that, but I'm going to tell you about that. But you also signed up for this amazing great awakening because you wanted to be here to witness this time in history, because it's such a big deal. Like, you wanted to see it happen. And I see this all the time in people's numbers. And you're also on your last life, which I see all the time as well. For the longest time when I was doing numerology, like in the first probably 10 years, I kept thinking, is the world going to end? Because I meet so many people that are on their last lives or on their close to last lives. And I was like, oh my goodness, what if the world is going to end? Because everyone's leaving. But it wasn't. I finally was told why. It's because the people I'm meeting are people in my soul tribe, and my soul tribe is ascending soon. We're all on our last lives, or our second last lives, or our third last lives. We're all finishing up so we can move to the next plane of existence, whatever that is, either here or somewhere else. I don't know. But yeah, so you're on your last life. A
What
lot of
number is it
times,
that tells you that part, the last
that's
life
your
thing? What
10.
part? Oh,
That's your
that's
10.
the 10. Oh,
Yeah. So you
okay.
have a 10 because of your fives. Oh, I could show you your chart. I don't know if it'll be backwards, but this is your chart. Um, I don't know if
Oh,
it's
okay.
forward or backwards. So this is the spiritual, this is the mental, this is the physical. Those are the three aspects of what it is to be human. Anything that's in the spiritual or the mental, those are your superpowers or your gifts for this lifetime. Anything that's in the physical, those are the obstacles that get in your way. So anything in the physical is usually in direct opposition with the spiritual and mental, because that's how you learn your lessons. Anything that's in this column, those are all your goal numbers for your lifetime. And the one that's circled, the 22, that's your main goal for this lifetime. So,
Interesting.
yeah. So basically, what we do is we come here many, many times. I don't know how many, but a lot of times. And every time we come here, the goal that we have is just to learn what it is to be human, to learn all the different aspects of what it is to be human. So every time we kind of go at it from a different angle, and we go back and we say to our higher selves and our spirit teams, we say, did we do what we said we would do? And then we evaluate how it worked, and then we decide what to focus on next. Maybe some layer of the same thing, or maybe a whole different thing completely. Because you're on your last life, you're doing bigger things in this life than normal. I always say people like to go out with a bang, so they do bigger things in their last lives. I just did Matthew Perry's numbers the other day because obviously of what happened. And he was a visionary, and he was doing really big things with his life, and it was very obvious in his numbers, that he was living a bigger life than normal. And you see that a lot with celebrities.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Interesting.
so you are someone, so you do have that one that I was talking about earlier. You are determined to be yourself and an individual. You won't be told what to do or how to do it. You are very directional. You are very motivated. You are very on task. You are a doer and not a sayer. You are an extreme doer, though. You're somebody who is like super motivated, like more than most people. You're very in touch with who you are and why you're here and what you're doing. You do not have any hesitation actually over your purpose. So it's really weird because I don't actually feel that very often, but it's very obvious in your numbers. You are someone who is like so on task. You have a 4 in your spiritual, and what that says is that you're a traveler. You're somebody who is going in many directions with your learning, and it makes total sense from what I know about you. I don't know a whole lot about you, but I have been following you for a few months, a little bit, and that is exactly who you are.
Backpacking for 14 years. Yeah, that resonates.
Yeah. You're almost like a nomad, but you do actually have a ground to you. So like that's really important. You're someone who needs certainty. You don't do well without certainty. So you do have a home base, and you are somebody who has the ground under your feet. So you're not just a flighty person at all. You're actually very grounded. And if anybody like looked at your life and saw all the travel, they might not realize that. But you're somebody that is like so grounded. Like you actually don't do well if you're not, so you have a home base. You're also very, very family oriented. Like your family is everything to you. You would literally die if your family wasn't okay. You're somebody who cares so much about your family and has such a family focus that is like that's your heart and soul. Like there's nothing else to you that matters.
I've told them if anything happens to my son, I quit. So they better.
Yeah,
I said, you protect that baby, or God help me, I'm leaving.
I have the same deal, actually. I have the same deal. If anything happens to any of my daughters, we're out. Like that's.
Yep, exactly. I told him, you protect them more than me. He's the important thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So you are someone. You have this combination of the 8 and the 1. And I always say, whenever I see that, you're someone that I don't worry about. You're someone I would never worry about. You struggle a lot, but I would never worry about you. I would check in on you sometimes because you're not someone that would say you're not okay. But I would never worry because you're very resourceful and you have your shit together and you're okay. Like you're always okay. You're somebody that if someone came to you and you were a broken down mess, you would say, you worry about you because I'm fine. That would be what you would say.
That is always my attitude. Don't worry about me. Go do
Yeah.
something else.
So I have the same combination. That's why I resonate so strongly with it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about your 8. If I get too personal, you can tell me to stop. Okay.
No, I share everything with these guys. It's fine. It's 11:11, by the way.
Yeah. So we're on task. We're doing good.
Yes.
Okay, so an 8 is a really hard number. An 8 is a really beautiful number too. So don't get upset when I tell you the hard parts, because I'm going to tell you good parts too.
No,
Okay.
I'm gonna take it
Um,
aside.
so you have a hard 8. You are walking your 8, which means that you are fully embodying the 8. It's the only number in your chart that you are fully embodying. All the other numbers are like, well, I guess I should say you're fully embodying your 5s as well, because you have double 5s. But you are really embodying this 8, and you're feeling that in your life. So the 8 is the number of struggle. The 8 is, you're a very old soul. You've been here many times. You have, you really feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. You feel it physically, you feel it mentally, you feel it spiritually. You're someone who's tired. Like, you're not tired physically or emotionally or spiritually. You're all the way tired, all the way around. And what you're actually tired of, you're tired of the injustice, and you're tired of the imbalance in the world. You really see humanity for what it is, and you really see the struggle, and you really see the people that don't have things, and you really see the people that do. You're somebody who notices that and feels that to your core. So you have an extreme humanitarian focus. Like, you are the humanitarian, you know. You are somebody that will never lose touch with the little people. Like, no matter what happens in your life, you will never ever not be relatable. You know, like, you're somebody that is very authentic, very true to who you are. You're in extreme integrity with your other numbers as well. I'm going to tell you about that, but I'm going to focus on the 8 a little bit, because the 8's about integrity as well, but the 8's more about authenticity. You know, like, you are your authentic self. You couldn't pretend if you wanted to be, like, if you wanted to. Not that you don't have the capability of it. You do, because you're highly intelligent. It's just that you don't have that in you, that you would care to pretend. Like, you would rather be more vulnerable than less vulnerable, you know? Um,
Yeah.
you're somebody who, so the 8 is the number of the patterns, and you're somebody who makes a lot of mistakes over and over again. So, like, my mom always draws it like a figure 8 or an eternity symbol or whatever. So it's, you make a mistake, you make it again, you make a mistake, you make it again, you make a mistake, you make it again. My mom will do it so much. Like, she'll draw it on the paper while she's doing it, because she does all her readings in person. She does it so much that it's annoying, but it's good because you remember it. It's important to remember. You're someone who practically has to hit your head against the wall to change, you know? And it's not that you want to be that way, it's that you don't recognize the actual pattern that you're in. So,
I'm a
what's
Taurus, born in the year of the ox. I'm just very stubborn.
Yes, you are very stubborn. I mean, that 1 is what makes you stubborn. The 8 is what makes you frustrated. So, but you're somebody who, like, you'll keep making mistakes until you recognize them. And then once you recognize them, it's like, you still won't change them. You'll still make them a few times, but you'll see them then. And once you see them, you will set out to change them. And once you change them forever. So the 8 is all about karmic chains and breaking karmic chains. So you're also going to have a series of relationships in this life that are hard. So it's not just love relationships, it's going to be friends and family and bosses and all kinds of relationships, because you're here to break your karmic chains. Now, a download I got recently from my, I don't know if it was my guides or someone else's guides that I was working with, but um, the 8 is also about generational trauma. It's about breaking generational trauma and changing it and healing it. So you are actually someone who's forming a new path for your family, for your whole heritage. And so that is one of the other reasons that your life is so hard, because you've actually taken on the burdens of not only yourself, but all the people behind you. So that's definitely a thing, and you definitely feel that. And that's where the pain is coming from. Like, you have this pain inside of you that I can feel, actually. That's where it's coming from. It's like, it feels like life is harder than it should be, and it is, and you're tired of that, and that's where it's coming from. It's coming from you noticing it. Most people don't notice it because you're walking this 8. You feel it hard, you feel it heavy, but it's also a motivator for you, and you're somebody that is fueled by it, because you're somebody who is like, I'll show you that I can do better. I'll show you there's more. I'll show you that life could be something different than you thought. I'll think outside the box, So that's what you're doing. So it's fueling you. So it's worth it. But you will have bouts of depression in your life. You will feel like life is too hard. You're fine though. So like, I would never worry about you, because you're someone who is like, you will sink down into the depths of yourself, and you won't be okay for a few days, but you are someone that will always get up again, and you will always be fine. So like, I just never worry about you, and
Thank you for
I
that.
yeah, I won't say that you're not someone that would, at times feel suicidal, like you may have had those thoughts. You may
I've
have
had
even
3
had,
attempts.
I was going to say, you may have even had attempts. Um,
Yeah.
you have a stronger purpose than that, and that would never have let you have, that would never have happened. You would have never, your higher self would have never let that happen. So,
Oh, I noticed now. I've noticed now that they were like, bitch.
yeah, because I had attempts as well. Like, yeah. But yeah, so that's the hard parts of the 8. Okay. Now the good parts of the 8 is that you're a master manifester. When you move out of that hard energy of the 8, when you actually shift, you become a master manifester. You become and you're in that energy now, actually. Um, so I can feel energy. I'm an empath. I can feel numbers, and I can feel how you're taking your numbers. Okay. Sometimes I will come across someone with a hard 8, and I can feel their bitterness. I like, 8 causes bitterness. I can feel that in people, and I can feel that almost instantly. You don't have any of that. So what you actually have is, you have the opposite of that. You take all of your pain and your struggle, and you say, why was this good? And you turn it completely around. And you believe that. You're not pretending. You believe that. And that's how you're living your life. So you actually
All
show,
thanks to Dolores. Thank you, Dolores. She
yeah,
changed my life and my whole perspective on everything.
she's pretty amazing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I
she
really
is.
like her. Um, so the 8 is all about self-worth as well. So you struggle with self-worth, and you probably have had imposter syndrome and things like that in your life. You probably face that
So
all the
bad.
time, actually.
I do. It took me
Um,
12 years to build my own Facebook page. Yeah, I definitely do.
Me too. I mean, I literally
Ugh,
launched a program last week that I wouldn't promote. Like, what is wrong with me? So yeah. Um, but yeah,
wow.
so you have, so the 8 is the self-sabotager. It's the one that gets in its own way, okay? But the 8 is also the most beautiful soul. So like, the reason why you're such a beautiful soul is because you are someone who sees the truth in the world, and you see the good in people, to your fault, of course. Like, you are definitely someone who
2
sees
divorces. Yep.
and you see people for who they really are. You don't see people for the illusion that they tried to show you. And you're somebody who does not judge anyone for their circumstance or their status. You notice it, but you do not judge it. You do not judge anybody different than you. You have this belief that everyone is exactly the same and has the same, abilities, at the same, not the same abilities, the same opportunities, the same I'm not thinking of the right word, but you're somebody who understands that everybody can try and everyone can have a good life and everyone has the same opportunity for that. You don't actually look at somebody that's not choosing that and say, oh, you're just a piece of shit. You would never say that. You might think that sometimes when people really piss you off, but you don't
I think that
actually.
about politicians.
But the thing is, if you sat down with that politician, you would see the humanity in them. So like
I
you
know.
don't actually do that. You do that on a surface level maybe, but you don't actually do that. I
I
just
do it
know
in
that.
jest. That's true.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can tell how you do it. Like I can feel how you do it. Um, and that's not always how an 8 is, but that's how your 8 is. You are somebody who sees the good in people. People could tell you that they're bad and you don't believe them, and that is a problem. That has been a problem in your life. Like I can feel that. Okay, and then you have these 5s. The 5 is the parent or the teacher. So you are a parent and a teacher. The ultimate teacher is a parent, but you are somebody who's an active teacher as well. And you're somebody who, so you're not a rule breaker, but you're not necessarily not a rule breaker. Okay, so like I say, you're not a
I
rule
have to
breaker.
agree to the rule. you
Yeah,
know?
that's exactly it. So you are someone who came here with a set of morals and beliefs fully intact. So you are someone who has your own set of rules that are not necessarily society's rules. You're somebody who came here with your rules. You didn't learn right from wrong when you got here. You already knew right from wrong. You were born with it. You live by that solidly. You are someone who, if you break your own rules, you can't look at yourself in the mirror. But I will
Yeah.
say, sometimes you'll see a serial killer that has the same number. And that's how I know it's not that you're not a rule breaker when it comes to society's rules. You're not a rule breaker when it comes to your own rules, your own set of standards. You couldn't be a serial killer, just so you know.
I
um,
joke that I'm chaotic. I play D&D, so I joke all my characters are chaotic neutral, just like me. you never know which way I'm going to go.
well, you do have the ability to shut off your emotions. You're someone who's very in control of your emotions, and you're in control to a point where you can treat them like a light switch, where if you're mad at someone or you're done with someone, you can literally shut it off and never think about them again. You have So that's coming from your 3. That's because you compartmentalize your life. That's how you deal with life. You are somebody that needs everything to be in its place. And if it's not in its place, or if it all mixes together, you feel chaotic and scared. So like you have to have everything separate, and it can mix a little bit, but not a lot, because you don't deal well with that. You're also somebody who does everything with your whole heart and soul, or you don't do it at all. You are never 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You're somebody who never gives more than you take or takes more than you give. Um, you care very much about integrity, and you care about that on multi levels. You do not respect anyone that is out of integrity, even slightly. And you have a bullshit meter. You're like really good at knowing. So you spot it really quickly too.
I
So
do.
you're very good at recognizing people's true intentions, and you're very good at boundaries, even though I don't know if you feel like that because you have a conflict there. um, I think you're
Depends
still
on the
working.
day
I think you're
and the
working.
person.
You are a people pleaser, like kind of an extreme people pleaser, actually. But you're working on that. You have a conflict there where, your 8 says, oh, I can't set any boundaries. I let people walk all over me. I don't see the bad in people ever. And your 5 says, I'm a nurturer. I want to love everyone. I'm going to take care of you. And then the 3 says, no, screw all of you. You screw me over, you're out. So you have this like conflict going on. um but
What?
That's what's going on. And your 3 is going to win, just so you know. Your 3 is going to win, where you're going to learn how to set really solid boundaries and keep them. And you're already mostly there. Like, I actually can feel your energy is pretty shifted that way,
It
Uh,
has. I got to
it,
thank my most recent ex for that one. He's, you know.
exes are the best at is teaching us this stuff, right? That's why they're there.
Hmm.
Um,
This has been more accurate than any zodiac reading I've ever gotten. Just for the record, every word you've uttered has been spot on.
yeah,
It's almost made me bashful. I almost want to hide behind my teacup for half of that.
well, that's why I said if I get too personal to tell me, because I can go really deep sometimes in this. um,
I have no shame. I've realized. So you know what I mean? Like I don't care.
do you know why that is though? It's because you are so fully you. You are so fully authentically you that you have nothing to hide. You have no secrets. You're not a secret
Exactly.
person. Um,
No.
and you wouldn't keep secrets, like, because you don't believe in them,
I don't.
you're
I
actually
think
someone who
secrets
likes
make you sick. They give you throat chakra problems. You
they
know.
do they do
No.
You're
Yeah.
actually someone that enjoys uncovering secrets and exposing them. I know that from being in your world, actually, not really from your numbers, but that's
Yeah,
also
that's
in your
true.
numbers. But it's very obviously in your numbers as well. But I know that already from seeing your posts. But you are somebody who, so I told you earlier, you have access to your map. You're somebody who has always known certain things about your life that other people don't know. And it's very natural to you. It's natural for you to know that. And so when you meet someone, you already know who they are to you. Like, almost instantly who people are to you. And that's part of your bullshit meter as well. It's like, that this person's going to be a lesson, or that they're going to be a friend, or like, you just know. You have a knowing that other people don't have, because you built that in on purpose, because you said, this is just, I always make up little stories about how it went on the other side, like when you planned your life. You said, hey, so I'll go there and I'll do this big mission and I'll do all these things and lead all these people, because you're also a leader. You're like, I'll do this thing, but I want to have access to my map. I want to know why I'm doing it. I want to stay in touch with my why, and I want to remember, because if I don't remember, I'm going to get way off track and I'm going to be mad about that, because you're already taking on a hard life, so you didn't want to screw yourself over. So you gave yourself this option to know more than you would normally know, you know and
I've been calling it my humility training.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you've actually got a lot of, like, vulnerability going on, like a lot of it. And
Yeah.
the thing is, though, you're fully capable. Like, you're somebody who is so in your power. Like, you are really a force of your own, and you're not somebody that, like I said before, I wouldn't worry about you, because you're so you stand in your own right, and you have earned that, and that, like, you're not someone who is questioning that anymore. You know who you are, and you know why you're here, and you know what you're doing. So,
I got chills when you
so,
said that.
yeah. I mean,
Wow.
most of us don't know that. Most of us, it takes our whole lifetime. Like, I've met people in their 80s that don't know that yet. You've known that for a long time. You've had to keep reminding yourself, and you will still, but you know that. And that's what you fall back on. That's your truth. That's your core. So you are a leader. You couldn't be a follower if you wanted to be. You are someone that
Yeah.
is always not only showing people the way, but actually teaching them as you go. And you have a lot of patience, because you are someone who has really worked on patience in this lifetime, and you've had to, because life's not been easy. But you're somebody who can really sit with someone and make them feel like you're holding their hand through things, because you care that much. So
Yeah.
So I would say you're just a very solid individual overall, you know. Um, I could probably talk about your numbers all day because I can talk about numbers forever. But those are the very basics of who you are, you know, and what you're about and what
Wow.
you're going to do. Um,
You're gonna get 100 readings from today. I hope you know. They know me well enough to know how accurate that was, and now everybody's gonna be banging on your door for an accurate reading. That's astonishing. It really
I'm
is.
good
Wow,
at
Tammy.
that. Thank you. I'm good. I'm good with
Wow.
reading books. So, but yeah, I really love numbers, and I really honestly feel like when I look at a chart, I think I used to say this really creepy thing that I don't say anymore. I used to say it feels like I step into your body and see life through your eyes. That's really creepy. I don't say that anymore. That's not true either.
It's really
Um,
creepy in my opinion, especially considering how much we're all spirit and we're all sharing energy and we're all one technically.
yeah,
So, you know.
true. What I say
Wow.
now is that I tap into your essence and I feel who you are and what you're about. And what I do while I'm looking at your numbers, like you'll see me look down a lot when I'm looking at your numbers. It's because I'm looking at your chart and I'm asking your numbers questions. So, like, I constantly say, who are you? Why are you here? What are you doing? And how are you showing up? And then I say, how is she taking that? You know, like, because your numbers are not easy. Like you're like nobody has an easy life. Life being human is not easy for anybody. Um, but you took on an exceptionally hard life. So my main question, the reason why I didn't go right after your 8, like I try to go after your hard numbers first. The reason why I didn't go directly to your 8 the way that I was going to is because I wanted to ask it first how you were handling it, because if you were an emotional basket case, I wasn't going to tell you a lot of that, you know, um, because it would make you spiral, and it's not fair to do that to somebody, you know. So you're
Yeah.
not. You're a very solid person. You're very solidly in touch with your emotions, and you're very in control of yourself, and you're very in control of your circumstances. You're someone who provides safety and balance for others, and you being okay makes a lot of other people feel okay, you know, and that's, you know, that's a gift. That's a true gift, you know. Um,
Wow.
do you have questions?
I feel like I'm blushing. Like I
Do you feel like it's weird that some stranger just came and told you about yourself? Because that's what people tell me.
Wow. That's amazing. And yeah, I know I planned a hard life, but I also know I made it harder on myself
Yeah,
by being my own worst enemy at a few times. And
because
so this has been part of, yeah.
yeah, you're a self sabotager. I'm the same thing. I have the same hard 8 that you have, and I have the same 1, and I have a 5. I have a lot of your same numbers. Me and you have a very similar purpose here, you know. Um, I understand your struggle a lot because I've had an extremely hard life and I know what that's like, you know, and I can feel that in you. And so one of the things that I was asking was, how are you dealing with your pain? You know, because some people, when life is this hard, become drug addicts or alcoholics, or they, you know, they do
Or
some kind
potheads.
of, or what?
That's my excuse. I use cannabis whenever I'm stressing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
It's my
but that's
crutch big time.
not,
Whenever
that's
it's
not
always served me. You
anything.
know what I mean? It's
Yeah. That's not an actual escape though that a lot of people choose. You know, like a lot of people, when life is this hard and it feels this hard, and it feels overwhelmingly hard, and it feels like you don't get over it's like you get stuck in a cycle, because the 8 is a pattern number, you know, like it's the infinity number, and it just goes in a loop. So it's like you don't recognize what the pattern is that you're in, and you just feel so frustrated and you feel so worthless and so stupid, and you know better than to make the mistake over and over, and you look at yourself and you go, why do I keep doing this? But then you keep doing it still. And that's the thing is
And this
that,
is
like,
why I'm single by choice and why I'm not talking to boys anymore.
yes, boys are bad. Yeah, no, men are
But
tough,
I
honestly.
joke, and my biggest problem is I think I've sworn off muggles. I keep dating muggles and marrying muggles and
Don't do
trying to
that.
partner up with a muggle. Never again.
Okay, so if you're interested in finding the right person that is actually spiritual, I'm starting a program in a few weeks called Calling in the One. And I'm going to teach people how to manifest the man of their dreams or the woman of their dreams. So you're welcome to join.
I'm happy with my plants right now, to be honest. But
Yeah,
thank you.
that's good though. I've gone through phases in my life where I decide to find me, like I decide to find who I am and what I really want and what matters to me. And then I go after relationships again. I've never been somebody, I don't know if I'm actually relationship material for real, because I'm very independent and you're like that too. You're very independent and you're very self-sustaining. It's very hard to bring a man in your life because either he doesn't understand you and he's intimidated by you because you're a force of your own, or he just, does not contribute the way that you need, So like I've always said, like, I just don't even know if I'm material for that. Like I have a boyfriend, but like I have commitment issues, I guess,
There's a
So
quote in my book
I
from
think
one of
you
my
might have
characters
that
that I'm
too.
writing, and in my book, I actually have this quote where it says about a girl who broke up with a guy, and she says, "Well, why did you break up with him?" And she goes, "Well, my waters run deep, and his shallow waters could not quench me." And that's kind of how it's been. I see it's frozen again, but I can still hear you. There you go. Now it's
Yeah.
caught up. There we go. And it's kind of like
Yeah.
that for me. Is
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't met somebody that has the same level of depth and understanding that I have, and I keep settling for people who are very shallow
Yeah.
in their mindset and their the way they look at the world. And this is why it's just something that I've had to learn, because I do settle for things that are less than what I deserve. And the reason for that, I believe, is part of not knowing what you want. You have to really get to know yourself and your path in life. And if you don't have those things under, a good understanding, then you can settle for things that are going to uproot you and confuse you and distract you. And yeah, that's been a big thing. Is I think I would be much further in life if I had just come to the understanding that my path is my path and that nobody else has any say about my path.
Yeah, but you were never meant to learn that until now. So like you were meant to go through the really hard stuff so that you would get to this understanding. Because when you do call in the right person, that person will be good for you. Like that person will fit your needs spiritually and mentally and things like that. Nobody can before that. So it wouldn't matter if you met the man of your dreams, he wouldn't fit anyway because you weren't ready for that anyway, So,
Yeah.
and all the other ones are lessons,
I've been
Sometimes
joking with
fun
Brandy.
lessons, but
I told Brandy the other day it would basically have to be me with a penis for me to be interested at this point.
well, isn't that always what we're looking for anyway? We're looking for ourselves. I mean, because we're lost. We don't know how to find ourselves. We're always looking for ourselves in everybody, you know. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So, do you
Yeah.
practice QHHT? Is that what
I
you do?
To be completely honest, I'm very much into QHHT. I am a level one, but I feel like there's something more
Yeah.
that's needed, and so it
Yeah.
has not been my main focus. I've been waiting for something else,
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
feel like I've recently found it. So you know what I mean? Like yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, and I can't say everything that I'm thinking right now for
Oh, that's
complicated
totally fine.
reasons. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and there's always ways of building on something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's where I think my focus is meant to be.
Yeah. I was just wondering because of Lori, and because I knew that you ran the Dolores Cannon group because I think I heard you say that once.
I
And
run
I
the
was like,
page. I run the page. The group is run by Triona Sheeran, but
oh,
the actual Facebook page, that's all me. Yeah.
okay, cool. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do a good
Yeah,
job with that.
Dolores is, I feel like she's one of my soul guides to a degree. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but I feel like she picked me. The way that everything came together and how I got the job from Julia, I almost feel like Dolores absolutely had a hand in it, and that she's been kind of giving me little nudges this whole time,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize it until recently because she's come through with so many mediums lately.
Yeah,
But the
that's
most
awesome.
beautiful thing about QHHT is the pure love that Dolores has for her clients, for her practitioners, for her students.
Yeah.
She's there for every single one of us that need her, and
Yeah.
it's really beautiful.
So, do you know what I learned about that? So, like, after my ex died, I went through a very serious period of grief. Okay. And I had a best friend die when I was 16, and I went through another very serious period of grief then. So like I've gone through a lot of that, and I developed into somebody who has visitation dreams for my loved ones on the other side pretty regularly, like throughout my life. Um, I started asking questions when my ex died. I started saying, well, how can he be with me and also with my daughter, like our daughter that we share? How can he be with me and her and his other son and his mom? How can he be with all of us at one time? How does that work? And my guides like to put knowledge in my head sometimes. I'll ask a question and it's like I don't know the answer at all, and then I just do after they do that. And so what I was told is that it's like we're made up of hundreds and thousands of tiny little particles, which you probably know that. I know that because I started seeing energy and now I can see it. But we're made up of hundreds and thousands of tiny little particles, and when they're not contained in a body, they just go wherever they want. And every one of those little tiny particles are equally us in each one. And we can go to hundreds and thousands of places if we want to. And we are actually in all of those places. So that's how spirits, on the other side communicate with so many people. And that's how they do show up. It's not that anyone's lying when they say they're with me and they're with someone else across the country. They're with both people. It's just
Yeah.
that
They,
they have to bring more of their energy together to show up and do some kind of sign for them. But they are with all the different people. So that's how Dolores is showing up for you and showing up for other people all at the same time, because she's not separating her energy. She is her energy. She is every one of those tiny little particles is her. That fascinated
perfectly
me.
said, Tammy.
Fascinated me like you would not believe. One more thing I learned is that I said, well, I don't understand how it works. How could you be here with me and also be separate from me? I don't get it. And so what I was told is that it's like in the movies where they show you a police station and there's a double-sided mirror and one side can't see the other side. They said that's how the dimensions are actually separate. It's like a one-sided mirror where they can see us and they're part of us, but we're not part of them. And we technically are part of them, but we don't know it. And so they're right
Great
here with us.
analogy.
We just can't see them, but they can see us as if they're on the other side of a double-sided mirror, or a one-sided mirror. Um, and that was the
I'm going to
analogy.
use that analogy. It's perfect. That's the best analogy I've ever heard about it. Yes, exactly
That's
like
what
that.
I was given. And they were very specific that there isn't actually any separation. That is just what they wanted me to understand. Like there isn't actually a wall or anything. That's just how it works with the dimensions. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Wow.
anyway, I've learned a lot.
Fascinating. You have taught me so much today, Tami. I'm gobsmacked. Wow.
Good.
Amazing. So I'm
I
going to share your link for everybody. We've already been talking an hour and 44 minutes, which is one of my
oh,
favorite numbers, by the way, I must say. Can you
oh
tell us about 144 real quick? Do you know anything
yes,
about
of
144?
course. Of course. So every time you see a repeating number, no matter what it is, you want to make a story out of it. Okay. So
Yeah.
the one is the direction. The one is always direction. One always means forward motion ahead, So the one is the direction. Four is always choices or decisions or opportunities. So, like, whenever you see a four, it's like you have things in every direction. So, this is the direction of opportunity, is what the 144 is telling you. It's a direction of choices because you have too many opportunities. That's what it would tell you. Like, it would be like the first one would say, this is the direction. The first four would say, of choices because you have many, many choices. And then the second four would be opportunities everywhere, too many to do. That's what it
So
would be.
that's why it's the angel number of the star seeds. So
Yes.
many opportunities. That makes sense.
Yeah. 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 So
Wow.
I make stories out of all the numbers, of what they're trying to tell you. So, but it isn't open
That's
for
so cool.
interpretation as well, a little bit, So
I'm getting ready to share your link for everybody so that way it's something.
thank
I
you.
know people are going to be signing up. You guys better get on it quick too if she's going to book up quick.
I
Better
hope
get on
so.
her website
That's
fast
a
and
good
get a
problem
session
to
ready.
have. That's a good problem.
Wow. You're
So,
amazing, Tami. I can see why so many people have been saying, talk to Tami, talk to Tami, talk to Tami.
have people
So, wow.
told you that?
I
Like,
swear, at least 4 people have messaged me saying you have to talk to Tami. So I'm sorry it's
wow,
taken me so long for us to have a face to face. Everything's been crazy lately.
that's okay.
So I'm so
I
glad we had this chat. I'm
yeah.
so grateful for that reading too. That was shocking.
As soon as Lori told me about you and I went and looked you up, I knew that I was going to know you. Like I could tell, So it was just a matter of time.
Wonderful.
And I'm glad that you liked your reading. I'm really glad.
I mean, it was shockingly accurate, to be honest. I don't think I've ever had a reading as accurate as that. So, wow. That
That's
was
awesome.
really something. What a treat. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Well, we'll have you on next time. Maybe next time we'll do some readings for everybody else and get a couple little readings in there for people. That would be wonderful.
Love to do that. All right.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tami. Much appreciated. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us today. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.